channel, you've probably noticed that I talk much less about my ordinary dreams and more about my lucid dreams. Well, I've only had a few people ask me why I've been doing this, but what I find is, number one, when I'm lucid dreaming, those experiences are much clearer and they have a greater impact on me, so that's something that I generally think about more. And the non-lucid dreams are much, they're not nearly as interesting, and it's something that I find that I'm forgetting more. It's kind of funny because I talk about dream recall and so on, yet these dreams, these ordinary dreams that I used to have for the first 30 years of my life, they are not as clear as my lucid dreams. But I just wanted to talk about a non-lucid dream. And about, let's see, I think it was in 1995, I think. I went to St. Louis for a wedding and stayed at my uncle's place. The whole family was down there. And the dream that I had put myself back into his house. And he died a few years back, but one thing that happened in this dream was he had a lot of collectible items, baseball cards in particular. He was big on that baseball card collection, and so I was always jealous of his collection and so on like that. But I was able to actually picture him and see him as he was back then versus what he was in his later life. And the dream was basically, it was experiencing the wedding almost all over again. It's almost like reliving the experience. And it was strange because I had my cousin in the car with me, and we drove to the church, and I'm driving down these roads, and it's starting to get really, really dark out, and he said to me, "We better hurry, we're going to be late for this wedding, look, it's getting dark." And I said, "Well, I'm lost, I don't know my way around here, where do I go?" And he says, "Well, I'm not from around here either, I don't know where to go." So we drove around, and we got to the town, and there was a cop sitting in the street, and pulled over, and I could hear the exhaust in the car. I kept thinking to myself that it was a Chevelle, but I don't know if it really was. But he came to the window, and he leaned into the window, and he said, "This exhaust is a little bit too loud, can I have your driver's license?" And I said, "Well, I'm from out of state, out of town, I'm just driving him around, he's getting married." And the guy ends up backing up, and he said, "You need to step out of the car." And I said, "Listen, we're late for a wedding, I need to go right now." And he ends up pulling his gun out, and my cousin says, "Roll up your windows, I've got bulletproof glass." So I rolled up my window, and he starts talking on his radio for, I'm assuming, backup or whatever. And then I could hear him say, "I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3 warnings," something like that. And then he starts shooting, and it was weird because I could see the bullets coming at me, and it obviously bulletproof glass, it was just kind of, making these indentations into the glass. And he said, "Go, go, go, we got to get to the church." Well, I could hear while I was driving really fast, I kept looking in my rearview mirror, and I could see him, the car was faced away, I could see him like doing a 180, and there was smoke flying everywhere, and he was coming after me. I said, "We gotta lose this guy faster, you're never gonna get married." And of course my cousin says, "Cut down this alley." So we cut down this alley, and anyway, we started driving around, and I hear these church bells, and I said, "I think we're getting near, I hear church bells." And he said, well, okay, what I'll do is I'll jump out right here at the end of this road, and you keep on driving, distracting, so I can go get married. And I said, well, what about me? And I think I said something like ring bearer or whatever. And he said, don't worry, I'll find somebody else. And so for some reason I agreed, and he jumped out and he started running. Well, as he was running, and I could see the church there on the left-hand side, as he was running, like the SWAT team just came in and just put him to the ground. And I yelled at him, I said, keep your head down. And I turned the car, and I started heading straight for him, and I ended up running them all over. And they were laying on the ground. I said, quick, go in and get married now while they're stunned, and you'll be okay. Well, then the cop comes up from behind me, and I didn't realize it, and he puts his gun like right there on my neck, and I still kind of feel like it was cold. I just felt it. And he puts it right there. He says, don't move. And I said, you're a cop, you're not going to shoot me. And I turned around, and I said, you might as well put your gun down because I know you're not going to shoot me. And he said, watch me. So anyway, he shoots me. And at first I looked down, and I looked at approximately where he shot me, and it was like there was a bullet sticking out. And I remember it burning, and I just kind of grabbed a hold of the bullet and I threw it down because it was kind of hot. Like, God damn, that hurt. And he starts calling. He's like, this guy ain't going down or something like that. So permission to put him down. And I got back in the car and I took off. Well, at that point I had a police scanner in the car, and I knew exactly where they were going. They kept naming off streets, and I'd look ahead and they'd say, okay, that's the street. So I'd take off somewhere else or whatever. And that's kind of where the dream ended, was right there. In fact, my alarm went off. But so the experience that I got of that, I think I dreamt about that because number one, I've been looking through some old pictures. I have a huge collection of old pictures that actually came from my grandparents, that I've been looking through, and I'm trying to preserve them. I'm trying to scan them all so that they'll be preserved. And at the same time, I've been watching a lot of Cops, the TV show, so I think they kind of meshed together. And that typically for a regular dream is what happens, something that I experience throughout the days or weeks or whatever will translate into a dream somehow. But so as of recent, that's really the only odd dream that I've had that's been non-lucid. So that's pretty much it.